Welcome to the inaugural episode of PiP Book Club, a place for nerdy people to talk about interesting stories. This month is a trade paperback month. Very exciting. So we are talking about Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. But I'm not on this adventure alone. Joining me is...
Hey everybody, it's Carlos, your doctor recommended dose of nerdiness, aka you're a nerd today, and frequent person here on PiP as I'm part of the crew. So I should be frequent.
You should be.
Yeah,
We kidnapped you and recruited you to our cult. So,
and then everyone left
welcome.
except for
Fine.
you, me, and Frank, and occasional
Yeah, it's
Fee.
fine. When Fee's not, drowning in
Hmm.
real job stuff.
To be fair, she typically is.
So
Yeah,
valid. Hmm.
she's struggling.
All right. Well, as I mentioned, we're talking about Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. What's your history with this comic book run?
Yeah, this is my. I remember. So I have to start by saying I'm a big fan of the writer. We'll get into that a little bit. I know he's very divisive within the comic book community, so I will go out and say I am a fan of his work generally. But I I was really excited about this relaunch. I think this was Rebirth, right? This was DC Rebirth when they were doing that.
Hmm. I
So when
believe
this was
so.
yeah, when this was happening, I was really excited to see his take on Supergirl, and that was like an enclosed story for the most part.
Hmm.
I got me really excited, especially after Omega Men. And so I read it his initial run, like monthly there, and then reread it just this past weekend for the episode and post us watching Supergirl, which you can see on
Hmm.
DC
Hmm.
Graduates, our other show.
Indeed, you can.
Yeah.
So I picked up this in the trade paperback form about a year or two ago, right around when we were kicking off DC Graduates,
Mm, mm,
and I was kind of rediscovering my love for DC Comics. I was a huge DC fan growing up. Took some time away to get entrenched in Marvel fandom for a couple years, and then slowly returning to my DC roots.
mhm.
But this was actually on recommendation from you, Carlos, and
Yep.
I picked it up and I devoured it. It instantly became like one of my top 5 comic book runs ever. I love a contained story. I love like an 8 to 12 issue like mini run. That's where I find some of the
Mhm.
most interesting and creative takes happen. They have, the space and time to foster and don't have to worry about the larger narrative. And so yeah, I was really excited to revisit this. Little
Mhm.
nervous, but spoiler alert, I had a great time again. As you
Yeah.
mentioned, this was written by the Tom King. Very
Yep.
divisive, has some great takes, has some, real head scratchers.
Yeah.
But masterclass storytelling from him here.
True. 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 Yeah. It's weird because like I feel like Supergirl is like when you get like let's say two faces coin, right? One's the face,
Mhm.
one's not.
Yeah.
Supergirl, the good side.
Mhm.
Wonder Woman,
Mhm.
the bad side.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
There's like good things. Like
And
Trinity's a good character, I
right.
think at least. But like a
Love
lot of that story
Trinity.
is like a little like I think it's a book. I bet you that's a book in like 10 years from now. We're like, damn, he was really doing this in there.
Yeah. The art in this is by Bilquis Everly, and the colors, oh my god, the colors, by Matias Lopez. This, of
God.
course, is published by DC Comics. And okay, so you were filling this out for me. You put
Yeah.
this as a fantasy. I
Eskin.
think it's more sci-fi.
Yeah.
Definitely adventure
I think Adventures
superhero on this
I think
genre.
Adventure is better because I was
Mhm.
trying to encapsulate like that kind of feeling that like Errol Flynn, like Robin
Mhm.
Hood esque like adventure. And I was like, it's kind of like
Yeah.
fantasy esque. And I'm like sword and sorcery, but like not really. It is more
Yeah. Mhm.
sci-fi adventure.
Mhm. Mhm. Some tropes we found in this one. We got found family,
Mhm.
arguably, revenge plot. There's more in there, but it's the first episode.
Oh yeah.
We're just going through this here. Um, so Carlos, as our lovely guest, I'm gonna pass the baton over to you, like
Okay.
you do to me every week on DC Graduates. You want to give me that plot summary?
Yeah. So the plot summary, and this comes from link we'll have at the end of the book from bookshop.org. This is it
Mhm.
might be from DC as well. But Kara
Right, yeah, I
Zor-El,
think it's
yeah, I think it's from
the
them, right?
like
Like the
copy
general,
paste. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Kara Zor-El has seen some epic adventures over the years, but she now finds her life without meaning or purpose. Here she is, a young woman who saw her planet destroyed and was sent to Earth to protect a baby cousin who ended up not needing her. What was it all for? Whenever she goes, people only see her through the lens of Superman's fame. Just when Supergirl thinks she's had enough, everything changes. An alien girl seeks her out for a vicious mission. Her world has been destroyed, and the bad guy responsible is still out there. She wants revenge. And if Supergirl doesn't help her, she'll do it herself, whatever the cost. Now, a Kryptonian, a dog, and an angry, heartbroken child head out into space on a journey that will shake them to the very core.
Bars.
Yeah.
Every, three-man band needs a Kryptonian, a dog, and an angry, heartbroken child.
Goddamn right. Goddamn right. Also, that could be used really well for the movie as
Mhm.
well because it's vague
Oh,
enough where
yeah.
like there's a lot of differences
Mhm.
we'll get into in a moment between the film and the book. But you could use that for the movie, and it would be a better one that we got last week when we covered this.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
If you don't know what we're referencing, uh, get a chance. Go pop over to GC Graduates. We did a full extra credits episode on Supergirl 2026, the film. And, we're revisiting the source, the inspiration of the
Mm.
source material post seeing the movie. But you want to hit us with those character wrap
Yeah,
up?
we got other than a bunch of weird aliens, which I didn't write on here, because we have a
Mhm.
bunch of like no like we don't really
Nameless alien
nameless
creature.
alien
Yeah.
races, yeah. Not known to the vast like overall space DC universe, but we have Kara Zor-El, of course, Supergirl, Ruthie, Creme of the Yellow Hills, Comet, and Crypto. Fucking Comet.
We'll talk about Comet in a minute.
Weird.
But before we move on, if you haven't checked out Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, pause here, come back to this episode once
Mm.
you've read it. Or if you want to dive in full spoilers, I mean, up
Yeah.
to you. Who am I to tell you what to do with your life? But this is our full spoiler filled thoughts starting now.
All right.
All right. Carlos, is there anything you just kind of liked about this book?
You know what's funny? This is when I was reading, I was like, I'm gonna try to be really critical of it, try to put a
Mhm,
critical eye, which I typically I'm very positive when it comes to a lot of media that I consume to a certain extent.
mhm.
If you get me riled up on something, I'm gonna be riled up on something. Don't get me started on how everyone perceives Wolverine as like the leader of the X-Men. Thanks. Listen, I
Okay.
like Hugh Jackman. I like the movies. They
I
done
love
fucked it up.
huge jacked man, but
Yeah.
yeah. Uh-huh.
I think just likewise, I think I obviously crypto being there in the whole beginning was really well done, but I
Mhm,
wish that I kind of wish there was a little more crypto. So I like the little
mhm,
bit that we got, and also with the reveals that you get later on, it kind of makes sense because the book then doesn't
mhm.
break canon,
Right.
like with
Mhm,
where crypto would be in the world at this moment. Like
mhm.
this takes place what over almost a year, right? It's a couple months in its entirety.
It's a
Like
couple months, and
yeah.
then at the end we get the flash forward.
Yeah, a few like decades. So I would
Mhm,
say like I thought that was good. I thought that was a good reveal. I did like the reveal at the end of the book where he was fine.
mhm,
Compared to the
mhm,
film too, because the film uses crypto as a not a crux, but like a pushing point for Kara.
mhm.
And they
Yeah.
really tie crypto to her emotional journey within
It's the
that
fetch
story.
quest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at
Mhm.
first she's like,
For
"Oh, I'm
sure.
not gonna do it," and the car that we see in the film, it is different than even the car that we
Mhm.
see in main continuity, which we're covering here.
She's
Like she
a
is,
full 2 years older. A
yeah, yeah, she
little
is
bit wiser.
23, a little bit wiser, yeah.
Hmm.
She doesn't have the sadness that comes with the mission of like, hey, I failed my mission, but she does have the
Right.
sadness of losing Krypton and all of that.
Hmm.
So, and we when we covered this last week, so spoilers for the film as well. She like Crypto is not Clark's dog. Clark is,
Right.
Crypto is not like the L family dog. He's
Hmm.
just some random pup in the middle of Argo
Street
City
dog.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
he's a street dog that Kara finds on the day of her mother's funeral. So she latches everything
Mhm.
onto this thing. So to tie
Mhm.
him to that and then have him actually get hurt in this and be in a
Mhm.
state where he's like, "Oh no, we need to figure out like a antidote." I like that this didn't break canon, and it was just in this
Right.
version just a means to an end, just so she can try to teach her a lesson. So I thought
Mhm.
I liked that twist. I liked it.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. One of the things that I really enjoy about this story
Mhm,
is it's set up from the perspective of an older Ruthie looking
mhm,
back and telling this tale through this book she's writing. And it's her observations on the the myth that is Supergirl. And I really like that as a frame story. I think they could have done more with it, but overall, I really enjoyed what we got out of how the story was framed
mhm.
and the narrative bits we get transitioning between the stories. I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, Ruthie being the crux of the book specifically, and
Mhm.
seeing her through the eyes was something I mean, transitioning, I love that aspect. Like
Mhm.
I love
Yeah.
seeing the universe through her eyes. That was one of my favorite things. It's something I was talking about. It's hard not to compare to DC Graduates because
Mhm.
so much of the movie is derived from this. Even more so, even when you
Right.
reread it, you're like, oh, actually, they pulled a
Mhm.
lot more than I even thought when we were watching the film last week. Um,
Yeah.
and I talked about it last week as well, and I think a little bit with our friends, hopefully awesome. But I wanted a little more of her in the limelight, like kind of a little push forward.
Yeah.
I think that actress did a great job. I think she did great
Oh,
as
yeah.
Ruthie, but
Phenomenal.
I wish we got a little more of her. Not that she felt one dimensional, one note, but she was like you were telling us, not showing us. And in the book,
Mhm.
we're seeing a lot of her introspection. We're seeing because she's looking back at her life at this young age,
Mhm.
and she's telling us, like, oh yeah, this is how I was acting at that time. So we're hearing it, and we
Mhm.
kind of see a little bit of it. It's really cool, but I wish we got more of that in the film. But in the book,
Yeah,
I
it would
love
have
it
been
so
really
much.
cool to have, a an older Ruthie kind of narrating various parts of the story. I don't know if that would fit into the James Gunn universe style that they're going
Yeah,
for, but it would have brought me significantly more enjoyability to the film. Not
I
to
agree.
say again, go listen to our episode. We ranted and raved all about it.
Hmm.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about this book, what makes me absolutely fall in love with this is the art is gorgeous. The coloring is so vibrant and beautiful
Mm,
and evocative, and the way they play with the coloring on the various planets is such a gut punch. And I really enjoy the lettering as well. It's really
yeah.
interesting to look at comic books specifically because, when they were all hand lettered, they had a like super distinct style per the whoever was doing the lettering. And now they tend to have a bit more consistent feel to them, but there was something just so magnificent about the text in this that it just gripped me, you know?
Yeah, it felt like you were reading a tome, the lettering
Mhm.
and like
Yeah.
reading her thoughts. Like it felt like the book that we end up finding out at the end of the series or series that she wrote a whole book. Kara read it and everything.
Mhm.
So like you're assuming that Ruthie hand wrote this book, and that's what we're
Yeah.
reading is her
Mhm.
notes, which is really cool. And I have to agree, like Bilky's art, it's so good. I love that they named Ruthie's planet in
Yeah.
the James Gunn universe, Bilky. Oh no, it's Bilky, right? Is the
Mhm.
name of her city, and then
I
Everly is
thought
the name of the
yeah.
planet, I think, or the system.
Mhm. Something
Yeah,
like that.
it's so cool. I love that little touch. I think that was really cool. Yeah, Matthias's colors are just insane. Like how they color space. And that
Mhm.
one chase scene with I forget the name of the object that Krem has. His two
Oh,
of them.
yeah, the orb. What was it
Yeah,
called? Oh, I have it in my notes somewhere. Come on, come on. I know how to read.
I was trying to think. I wish I wrote it down. I didn't even think about that, but it was like the
I did.
yeah, it was like the I want to call it like the magic ball that he just threw basically, and that's how you get that section like the film where she's stuck on a planet with a green sun and a yellow sun.
Mhm.
But the second one that he uses and she's racing it and
Mhm.
all she
Yeah.
whispers to Comet, "Go to the end of the universe." I'm like, "Wait, what?"
Mm.
So you see like I don't even want to quantify it as like hyperspace or like quantum space. Like it's just space is like warping around her, and how Bilky draws it is like great, but then the coloring of like the stars and everything warping around her and Comet as they're like racing this sphere is insane. And then you get to that stark, what I'm assuming it, I mean, they don't show it, but there is
Mhm.
the thing called the source wall in the DC universe. I'm assuming they got to the source wall. That's the only
Mhm.
thing I can think of, and she just pops it. That
Mhm.
whole stark white couple pages. Oh my
Yeah.
god, it was great. It was so
I
amazing,
did find
especially
it
that
in my
art.
notes. It was
Mm,
directly in front of my eyes. It's the Mordu globe.
more Duke. Okay, yeah. Yeah, and it's like they're hard to come by. They're pure magic, so like she's like
You
having a
have
hard
to
time.
genocide an entire race or whatever to make one.
Insane. Let me tell you right now.
Yeah.
You know who has a bunch of those? John Constantine.
Mhm.
He's got like 6 of them.
Well, and then you can only have one of them at a time, apparently.
You know him. He's got like different stash
That's
houses.
crazy.
He probably finds one by accident. He's like, "Oh shit, I don't need that."
Yeah, throws it in the manor. That's fine.
Yeah, that's it.
Whatever. Okay. We talked about what we loved about this. Was there anything that like really steamed your nuggets? Like really just got under your skin?
I mean, I'm like 75% joking, but comment
Mhm.
like
Yeah, talk about it.
because we talked about this I think during our
Uh-huh.
AO3 like
Yes, we
episode,
did.
and maybe anytime Supergirl pops up, I bring up Comet. But like Comet is just such a fucking weird character, man. Because like
Mhm.
it's like fan fiction before fan fiction from like the '60s and all, and it's like, dude, like why is she in love with a horse that can turn into a man? Like
Man
Tara,
horse.
yeah, Tara reads these books. Like that's the shit that she
Uh-huh.
reads. Like and Fee, like I why am I reading this in my comic book? How'd you get past
Mhm.
the security? And this was like the '60s we're
Mhm.
talking about. So
Oh, yeah.
to see that and then have it where it's yes, I'm talking about you. Have you not read a book about some minotaurs and okay, I'm just saying.
I'm sure it was a good book. I support you.
Listen, we support women's rights and wrongs. That's I can't
Correct.
it's
Yeah.
on a t-shirt that eventually will come out.
And if
But
that means falling in love with Man Comet, you know what?
yeah,
That's fine, I
to be
guess.
fair, he was hot. He was hot at the end of the
Very
day.
hot.
Even
Yeah.
more
The
so than like in
slow?
the '60s. Yeah, in the '60s, I was like, this is dumb. And then I saw it now, I was like, oh,
Mhm.
you know what? I get it. um, I will say there was that. My only other thing was that she was, or not. I hate using this, especially when speaking about a book with a female lead, but Comet felt
Mhm.
like a Deus Ex Machina, you know? Like, it was cool
Mm,
in the initial reveal that she was using Comet to go away from the Mordu sphere, right?
yeah.
Like, that was cool. I was like, oh, shit, that's cool. And then immediately, if you know lore, you're like, oh, yeah, he's super fast. Like, oh, I get what is happening here.
Mhm.
This is a good use of Comet, even though Comet isn't here, and that's the
Right.
problem. But then it
Mhm.
was like, at the end, and she's having the argument with Comet from the ship, the brigand ship
Mhm.
above the planet, and I'm like, is he gonna come in and just kind of like save the day? And he did, and I was like, I
Mm.
don't know. I was kind of hoping. I knew that she had
Mhm.
kryptonite. Don't get me wrong. I know she was shot with kryptonite. I was just kind of hoping she
Right.
just like pushed through somehow or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
Especially because she lasted 10 hours on that planet with the green sun, and
Right.
as opposed to the film, she's in a cave. She's still getting hit with the
Mhm.
radiation. Don't get me wrong, but she's still like you
Yeah.
can make the argument she's in a cave. All this other stuff, and then she's just exposed to
There's
the
like
green
a
sun.
overhang. They're under like a
Yeah, for the last couple hours.
rocky
Yeah,
outcropping. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah.
But still, yeah. No, I do love that we fridge Comet. I think that's funny.
I did.
Because
I
he
did laugh.
came in, he was hot, he died. Like that just cracked me up.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I wish she was able to overcome and be successful herself.
Yeah.
Although it does make for a great moment with Ruthie, where Ruthie's like promising Comet that she's not gonna fucking murder Krem if
And
Comet
she's like
goes and stays Kara.
lying. Yeah, this is the first time I lied to a
Mhm.
horse or something. It was her
Yeah.
quote, and I was dying laughing. Um,
Iconic.
but it was
Yeah.
cool because Tom King, the 25% that made me okay with it again was that whole issue with the Mordu sphere, and I
Mhm.
did like the idea that again like many series that when it's like limited, this touch upon every aspect of who Supergirl is.
Yeah.
And so we even talked about Comet. We talked, and they didn't have to go into detail. And she even mentions like it's
Mhm.
complicated. Like we used to date or
Mhm.
something. Like it's complicated. And then they mention Beppo the super monkey. They mention Streaky the super cat. They mention Crypto. We see Crypto
Mhm.
obviously multiple times throughout the
Yeah.
series. But like we're this overarching super pet family that it tended to
Mhm.
be with Kara a lot of the times back in the 50s and 60s, at least from my remembrance of seeing like old comics of that time. I feel like she kind
Mhm.
of Crypto was like in the Superboy and comic books and stuff like that, but like specifically Kara, I felt like had a lot of
Definitely
more
heavily
animals.
associated with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
Mhm.
even Ruthie just mentioning that as a quick line, I was like, oh man, that's a all right.
Mhm.
I see what you're doing. Like you're justifying Comet being here for me, and you're touching upon every aspect of who Kara is and what she's done. And I mean, this is how good this series is, pardon me, that with one of the current storylines, I think, the reign of the Superboys, they mentioned something about
Mm.
Kara and they mentioned that like she's been through some stuff and they touch upon
Oh, yeah.
because the DC universe now currently is a place where like everyone knows of their past and every
Mhm.
reboot that's happened and they're like mostly come to terms with it for the most part and they understand that like they live in a multiverse that constantly gets rebooted, unfortunately. They
Right.
know that Kara
That's a
died.
choice they made.
Yeah, they know that Kara died, during the Crisis of Infinite Earths. They know that
Mhm.
a different Kara was made as a clone, and then there's like Angel Kara, and they talk about that, and I forget. We have a friend of the show.
Mhm.
He would mention it, but like there's so many iterations of Kara, and then they at one point I think it's either Connor's talking to John, or no, John might be talking to Connor about it, and John touches on the story with Ruthie, and you
Right.
see a shot of like a panel from this series, and I was like, "Oh, like this is canon
So
now, no matter
freaking
what."
cool.
So that's how
Yeah.
good this series is.
Mhm. It's a great
But
one.
yeah,
The one
just
thing
comment.
that really yeah, the one thing that really bothered me, especially on reread,
Mm,
is the inconsistent chapter breaks. This is
mm,
laid out as 8 chapters, especially in the trade. Uh, but when I was reading through, I don't remember being super bothered by it on first read, but on this read, it was really interesting because I was going through and it was mostly normal. And then, like, chapter 5 was super short and
mhm,
it felt impactful at the moment. And then I got halfway through chapter 6 and there was like a pretty significant like narrative shift that should have been a chapter break. And then chapter 7 was like literally 3 pages. And I was like, okay, we could have redistributed that a
yeah,
little bit. Chapter 6, I get you have all this momentum and you want to keep it and you want to keep us in that high energy. But when you have like a drastic shift around halfway through in both the narrative structure and the art style. Like halfway through that is when we go to the section that's flipping back and forth between uh the villain monologue and then Kara's battle on the ship.
Oh, yes, 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 yes.
And so like we have like normal structure and then we hit that back and forth point, and that would have been a great chapter break, but instead it's like two oversized chapters shoved together, and so the pacing on second read kind of got to me. But if that's my biggest gripe with this book, you know,
It's a good book.
I had a great time. It's a
Yeah.
good book.
It's hard to say it's not a good book, and if that's the thing you're complaining about, right?
Indeed. Do you have any of your notes you want to mention?
Yeah, I loved how you know, I mentioned this as well in DC Graduates. Again, I'm trying as much as I can not to like talk about that. Like I'm not
It's a
like promoting
crossover
that.
episode. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
y'all.
Unfortunately, like it's so hard because they're so intrinsically tied, and we just watched these a week apart and read this a week apart.
Mhm.
But I loved how the fight played out on Ruthie's Earth this way, because this Earth,
Yeah.
or the not sorry, this Earth, this planet specifically is like not barbaric, but it is very
Mhm. It's a farming planet.
yeah, it's a farming planet. They don't really have technology like Ruthie's planet in the DC Studios universe. So like the dude kind of looks like Conan the Barbarian.
Mhm.
I like that. I really love that art choice. Um
Mhm.
I said this too, like when she gets shot with the arrows, I'm like, how scary is it must it be to see Kara coming to you, just walk this woman just walking to you, no, not knowing who
Mhm.
she is either, just walking towards you
Right.
with purpose, bloodshot eyes, two arrows in her chest, and just not stopping. Like that has to be frightening.
Fuck it. Yeah.
God
Yeah.
damn.
Just what an incredible woman.
Yeah. Um, Ruthie has a quote. I wrote it out here. It
Mhm.
was like so. She's speaking about Kara in this moment. She's like, so let me say, with some manner of expertise, that she was a woman despite desperate qualities, who bent her own sense of self to fit the situation. Which is to say, in a simpler
Mhm.
matter, it is true she was many things to many people, but she was never soft. It's like, oh
Bars.
yeah,
So.
so good.
Mhm.
Um, issue 3 was incredible in one of the most horrific ways
Mhm.
possible. You know, like
Mhm.
it
Yep.
is so fucked up as a issue, but it's one
Mhm.
of the cool things I love about comics is that there's somebody out there, some young person, and I hope they read that issue and like, oh my god, this really hit me, you know? And to this happened in America. There's
Yeah.
plenty of like
This is currently happening
yeah.
in multiple different places on our planet.
Yeah, that's the fucked up. It's not a thing
Mhm.
that goes away, unfortunately. Like it's aired in the
Yeah.
side of this like small town, like almost Americana type planet and
Mhm.
town that you can feel at home like in America. But like there's a couple of
Mhm.
towns that like there was these beautiful, black owned businesses, black owned cities, basically. Like they were so and they just got burnt to the ground and destroyed by, racist people. And like that's what made
Mhm.
me think of these. And I was like, oh my God, dude, this is like, I'm aware of the history, and I see where Tom King is pulling from, and, like, that's a beautiful thing
Yeah.
of comics about medium as a comic, sorry, comic books as a medium,
Comic books
that
as a medium, yeah,
yeah,
I got you.
that, um, a lot of people were like, "What why not just show the thing?" And there's plenty of historical
Mhm.
comic books and stuff like that, and there's plenty of times
Oh,
that
yeah.
some comic books would touch upon it, but when you have such a mainstream series like a DC Comics, and then they can show you something that is very inspired by real world events, but in a lens that maybe someone younger can read and be like, "Oh, that's crazy," like, and it's a way
Yeah.
to get, like, history in there, right? To understand, like, "Hey, this is why we don't discriminate. This is why, we're showing you in
Mhm.
the lens of these purple people and these blue people, but, like, this is happening currently in the planet that you're reading this book on, you know?
Yeah.
Famously, the X-Men, are stand-ins
Mhm.
for civil rights movement and, like, now gay rights, and they've adapted to whatever, kind of rights are needed at the time. Unfortunately, civil rights is still a thing that's gonna be
Mhm.
happening in one way, shape, or form, and I think that's,
Oh,
like, a
yeah.
lot of books like that I gravitated to the X-Men, you know, back in the day because of
Mhm.
that. Like, I'm different because I'm brown. and people treat me
Mhm.
differently because, my initial language is a different language. I have different skin color. My name is different than everyone else's. And to see a book where there's a dude who wears a visor and he can't take it off because if he does, he'll kill everybody, with his eyes.
Mhm.
And his best friend has blue fur and that he grew up with
Mhm.
as a teenager.
Yeah.
His girlfriend can read everyone's minds and everyone just hates these people because they are different. I'm like, oh, these are my people. Like
Yeah.
I understand.
Exactly.
And I always felt like that with the it's funny because a lot of people was like, "Oh, Superman, Supergirl, they're just like you can't really relate to them." Dude, I could relate to
Mhm.
them every time. Like I could relate to them because
Absolutely.
I know the stories that they write where they feel like outsiders. Smallville, I
Mhm.
watched when I was a kid, and like for every like shitty episode of that, there's a bunch of episodes that shows Clark dealing with teenage issues and feeling like an outsider because he's an alien and all this other stuff. And as a teenager who's brown growing up, and it, I don't think I've ever talked about this on, I may have talked about this before. I know I talked about this with Greg Miller.
Mhm.
But that series, like Clark is a
Yeah.
freshman in high school, the same time I'm a freshman in high school. So we are growing up together during that whole series. Like
Mhm.
all those what he's going through, I'm going through. And it's like really weird and really perfect timing as a Superman fan. It like solidified that character for me as like a
Yeah.
touchstone to my life. Um this was a really good issue. And I hope there's some young person out there that like reads this issue and like
Mhm.
feels emboldened and be like, "Let me learn about some more stuff like that. Let me do that." I
Yeah.
also mentioned this before, like, we have one of my favorite horror movies. I was talking about this over the weekend with, Paris Jackson from, Bloody Disgusting.
Okay, nice.
Uh, and he was talking about he reshared his, someone got in talking about Candyman, Nia DaCosta's Candyman, which is one of my
Okay,
favorite
okay.
horror films. Absolutely love that I
Mhm.
love Candyman back in the day and just recontextualize that character as, like, a sympathetic monster and, like, a lot of the stuff that I picked out from that movie as a child
Right.
that
Mhm.
like, she, like, kind of reinforced as an adult. I'm like, "Oh, man, this is" I champion that movie all the way, but he posted, like, a kind of a thing about what he was talking about there, and that movie, Nia DaCosta does a really good job of kind of building off a little more than, we got with Clive Barker's, initial retelling and, like, the
Right.
film
Yeah.
adaptation of his short stories, novella. Um, and they pulled, into the projects talking about the situation that was happening in Cabrini Greens, which is a real project back in the day, in
Mhm.
Chicago, and a lot of
Kind of
stuff like
making
that.
some of those covert themes a little bit more overtly
Yeah.
obvious to the audience. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was really cool because that's a good thing when you use a medium like film or comic books, you can pull on these real stories and, like, twist it ever so slightly to be fantastical. So your brain,
Mhm.
maybe someone out there, your brain just shuts off for a minute. I'm just reading a comic book. I'm just watching a horror film. And then the lizard part of your brain, I'm hoping, is like, hey man,
Mhm.
this is happening, right? Like this
Right.
is how the
Yeah.
projects are. This is what's happening. This is the gentrification of a neighborhood and like just suffocating the black culture out of like a section of a city and stuff.
That's the beautiful thing about comics as a medium specifically,
Hmm.
because we are dealing, especially in superhero comics, we are dealing with the fantastical. You have the opportunity to serve both sides of the coin of being able to show these characters that people feel seen and represented in, and you get to tell these difficult stories in a way that's a little bit more approachable to a wider audience of readers and a
Yep.
variety of, reading comprehension levels. And also, you get to present these ideas and concepts that might not be
Hmm.
relatable to somebody, but is able to challenge their thoughts and their beliefs and really makes them sit with the concept of what does it mean to have an entire city where there's no purples allowed, but you don't see a purple in sight. Where did they
Yep.
go? Like, you can really sit with that and think about how our world shapes the stories we tell and how the stories we tell shape us as people and what we choose to do about that moving
Hmm.
forward.
Yeah, I think too what something that was like came to my mind when watching the film and reading the short series. was that one of my favorite things about the adaptation of Kara, to where we've gotten Kara the since New 52 and kind of more through Rebirth and everything as we like been fine tuning the DC universe as a whole, was holding on to her anger, you know,
Mhm.
and she's
Yeah.
messy. And when you again, if you're someone who's just like, I don't really fuck with Superman, I don't really understand it, but like and don't read the books
Mhm.
and like just see it like, I see that as like, ugh, he's just this, he's just that. Like the family is very layered and very like they're not perfect. You know, even Clark's not
Mhm.
perfect too. Everyone thinks he is, but he is just a normal dude that
Right.
happens to be like the powers of a god, you know? And the same thing with Kara.
Yeah.
She's a messy young woman, you know, she's trying to find her place in the world. E- Every one of her purposes, I feel like every time we talk about Kara, we talk about this, but all her purposes are
Mhm.
gone. She is left alone. She just wants to, in the movie universe, she just wants to get drunk and forget about everything. She just doesn't
Yeah.
wanna feel, and
Mhm.
she's forced to feel in that film, and with through these, like, situations that she's put through because of Ruthie and Krem. In this, like, she's just taking one night for herself, you know, she's still the Supergirl that people talk about, but she
Mhm.
even then, um, she has a great line in issue 5 where Ruthie curses for the first time, uses one of the Earth curses. I'm assuming it's fuck.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, uh-huh.
and she uses it really well, and Kara's like, "Yeah, it's a good way to use it." He was like, "Don't tell Clark though, he would judge you. He's so fucking perfect." And I'm like, I love that because even think
Yeah.
she thinks she's
Mhm.
like shitting on her cousin, you know? But there's these
Yeah.
characters, and she's messy, and like you see Millie
Mhm.
Alcock's version of her on film, and like that scene of her, oh my god, in space, and she's just screaming and crying at the top of her
Mhm.
lungs.
Yeah.
It's so raw
Gorgeous
and
shot.
painful, man. It's so
Yeah.
great. And we get that in this too. She goes to a sun to do it. So she
Mhm.
goes in the middle of a yellow sun and
Yeah.
just rages out for a minute. It's really cool. It's really well done. And I love that, you know, because I'm sure there's some girl out there that, you know, feels some sort of way and that you know, how their life's going and everything like that. And they can read
Mhm.
this book and be like, yo, like, I'm not
Mhm.
that different. Like, things are not that different
Right.
for me. Um, you know, I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to do this. Like, I don't, you know,
I
she's not,
can let go of carrying the rage and hope and dreams of an entire planet on my back, you know?
yeah. I always having to push forward. Like she's given so much
Mhm.
pressure and then she lets it bottle up and then she gets to her destination and is like, yo, everything you've been planning for is gone. So why don't even hold on to that. It's like I don't know what to do with this
Yeah.
now. Like
Mhm. Yeah.
I love the depiction of Kara over the past year. And again, that's not even to say that like Melissa Benoist in the Arrowverse, I think she's great as
Also a great
Kara.
adaptation.
Yeah,
A
it's a great
very
adaptation.
different form of rage, and, you know, she has a very different world that she exists in, but I think they're both great
Mhm,
adaptations. You know, like, I love the idea of Clark, and
mhm,
Superman specifically, but I am just I a massive bitch, I guess. I can't get over the boundless optimism that is
mm.
integral to that character, and that is so important. We need people with boundless optimism, but I don't know. I like a sad boy more.
I do like me an emo boy. That's what hey, Connor and
Mhm.
John are right there, man.
Yeah.
They're little emo
God,
boys,
I
they're little
fucking
sugar
love
boys.
Connor.
I do too, I do too.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, but that was issue 4, The Mass Grave.
Mhm.
That was like
Mhm.
one of the most
Yeah.
tragic issues, but also just it was so beautiful, and just her taking the time.
Yeah.
I mean, super speed for her,
I
but she
it's
taking
one of
the
my
time to do
favorite.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then her being like, "I scanned your DNA. Do you wanna do it now, or do you wanna wait until we're done?
Mhm.
And, like, I'll help you, like, bury everyone, and when we're done, I'll show you where your wife is, or do you wanna do it right now?" He's like, "No,
I
we'll
think
wait."
it was daughter.
"Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
believe you're right. Yeah, it is daughter.
Mhm.
That's correct.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is his daughter."
And
He's like,
then
"No, I'll wait."
I think that it's really interesting that we see a really strong parallel of that later when we're in the when we're in the issue where Ruthie is telling us Kara's backstory, and we see
Mhm.
her doing the same on her planet after the first wave of radiation deaths, of her
Yeah.
also digging. And that was without powers, that was by hand. She
Yeah.
just the intense need to keep going and to create a memorial and a remembrance with her own two hands is something that I think really lends itself to Kara as a character in this
Yeah.
book.
There's no power. She
Mhm,
has no, like, no idea of, like, this just shows that issue shows, and that's issue 6, shows
mhm.
directly why she is Supergirl. Like, it's not because of
Yeah.
Clark, it's not because of, it's because of this moment, right? Where they mentioned, like, she sees so much devastation, and I even wrote it here. I was like,
Mhm,
we always talk about the devastation of Krypton. We always see it sometimes.
mhm,
We see it on film, and it's like, whoa, that's crazy, like, oh, it's crazy to see, like, buildings fall and all this shit. But, like, how
mhm.
it's described here, obviously we all know, with if you don't know, Tom King was in the military. He was specifically in the CIA, so there's some shady
Mhm,
stuff there. We all assume,
mhm.
and
It
he's
shows up in all of his work in really
it.
interesting ways.
Yeah, some
He really
well,
grapples with what it means to watch thousands of people die in front of
yeah,
you.
yeah, and that also comes with a lot of controversy, and that's it. A lot of people
Mhm.
feel a certain way about him being in the CIA
Yeah.
during
Mhm.
the Iraq War, and
Oh, yeah.
now, writing
Mhm.
comics and stuff like that. But it that he uses that time frame, I'm assuming, to talk about when Kara sees, like, a neighbor that used to, the
Mhm.
solar fuel tank owner. She mentions, like, their gas
Yeah.
station, and he's like, "Can you help me? Can you just hold it right here, because I think it's slipping out," and it's guts.
Mhm.
And, like, they don't show it. They don't need to show
Yeah.
it. That you don't need to be that graphic, but it would
Mhm.
make a lot of a fortunate sense that Krypton's destruction would be so graphic, and we only see, like, we even see it
Yeah.
last week in the film. Like, they
Mhm.
show it, it's devastating, it's sad, but, like, it would be like a Saving Private Ryan type of D-Day Normandy situation, where you're seeing, this just carnage in front of you, and she
Mhm.
is 14, they say, at the time when that
And
happens.
I was trying to find the full quote. Here it is. Uh, I'm just gonna read this whole page.
Mhm.
It was her third time watching the light of life fade around her. Her third time hearing her neighbors grasp for their last breaths. Her third time collecting bodies for mass burial. Her third time watching her world die. She was 14.
Mm.
And that's the page with the colors fading out into
Yeah.
white as she reaches for the globe.
Mhm. Dude, that
Mhm.
that was heartbreaking. The whole issue is just
Yeah.
heartbreaking, because then we see her talk to Zora, we see Allura die in that,
Mhm.
and her burying the people, them trying to lead shield the ground so they
Mhm.
stave off the poisoning as much as they can. Um,
Well, that was after the lead shield fails.
yeah. Oh,
So the
yeah, that
first
quote
round,
specifically, yeah.
and then they built the lead shields, and then the debris storm hits and
Mhm.
breaks, so then we get the third round. But yeah, I'm gonna move us on real quick.
Mhm.
I have some study questions that
Mm.
hopefully will become just standbys, but they might get, adjusted a little bit
Yeah.
as we go. But the first one I got for you here, what's the funniest quote or moment? I know this is a
Ooh.
dark book, but there's a couple
Yeah.
quips.
You know what? Actually, it comes from issue 6 at the end.
Mhm,
When I believe this is where she confronts Krem, right? She finally called out to him with
mhm.
Ruthie, or, like, with some brigands and stuff like that. And it's like, Ruthie says, "Well, that's trouble. I mean, because you're Supergirl and you don't give a fuck about swords and arrows." I was like, "Fuck
Yep.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
dude. Hell yeah,
That's a good
man."
one. Mhm.
Yeah, I love
Mine,
that.
was at the end of chapter 5, so that's when he first
Mm.
shows up. Uh, and it's after Ruthie gets Kara's backstory, but we haven't been told it yet.
Mhm.
And Kara shows up and goes, "Hello, I'm Supergirl, and you're Creme of the Yellow Hills. You shot my fucking dog."
Yep. It's just John Wick. That's all she is.
Yep. Uh huh. That one gets me every time. All right, Carlos, favorite character.
Ooh, man. I am going to give it to. I'm going to give it to Kara.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah. Yeah, I think she's just so well written, and she has she has the classic feel of like how Kara was written, and she is so demure, and people love her and look up to her, and she is like a beacon of hope, but at the same time she's messy. She
she's got
is
layers.
yeah.
She's like Shrek.
Yeah, she's like onion. That's what she is.
Mm-hmm.
She's like an onion. She's got layers. Um I love the twist at the end too, compared to the film with her,
Mm-hmm.
where she is like, no, this needs to happen. Like, I brought you on here. Crypto's
Mm-hmm.
fine. He's been fine. I took him to the best veterinarian in the universe. He's okay. He's
Mm-hmm.
been okay for a long time. I just want you to learn that and we've seen so much horrible shit that I'm not
Mm-hmm.
okay, and he needs to
Yeah.
die. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I love that turn for her, because it's like she's not. Again, we talked about this last week. She's not Clark.
Mm-hmm.
She's not
Yeah.
Clark.
Correct.
She is a warrior. She is this.
Mm-hmm.
She's so much more than her cousin, and
She's the
everyone
last
compares to.
survivor of Krypton.
Truly
Clark's the
last one.
last hope of Krypton,
Yeah.
but she's the last survivor. Yeah.
Mhm.
My favorite character is Ruthie. I think she's lovely and delightful and perfect and
Mhm.
wonderful. And she's such a good POV character. I
Yeah.
love when we get an like outsider POV, and this is her looking back and telling her story of this grand adventure with this, world-class superhero. And I think that creates such an interesting dynamic for the story overall.
Yeah. Loved it. Loved it so
Mhm.
much.
What do you think the coolest visual was?
You know what? Funny enough, it's the final cover for
Mm,
issue
yeah,
8. Just
yeah.
her with Ruthie's sword, like next to her on the beach, that beach planet they're on, and she's just all
Mhm,
torn up, like her suit's all torn up, bloody, and she's just like looking off in the horizon. Love it.
mhm. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's a good one.
Yeah. If it was like in
Banger.
story, it would have to be like kind of the final what we showed off when we were talking about um Kara talking about like how many the third time she saw Krypton die.
Mhm,
And that just
mhm.
that panel as the colors fade away as her and Comic like catch up to the
Yeah,
sphere.
that's dope. My favorite one we mentioned earlier, but it's the gorgeous shot of the genocide of the purples, unfortunately. But
Man,
this
yeah.
whole spread is so gorgeous, and you see the death and the destruction, and
Mhm.
creme behind bars, and the way everything flows together here,
Yep.
the chaos and the jumble, just really makes you fucking feel things, you know?
Yeah, it's man. I sat with that page for a minute. I just had it open. I was
Oh yeah.
like,
Mhm.
yeah.
That was one on first read that I sat and stared at it, put the book physically down, and walked away from it, and like
Yeah.
needed to process with my full
It's like I need a
body.
minute.
Hmm.
Yeah, I did. I did really enjoy that.
All right, who's the real winner of this story?
Ruthie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Ruthie. I did want to bring this up because we have the same understanding of the ending,
Hmm.
and apparently, just reading it, like I was looking up, I was like, oh wait, I wanted to see if there's a quote I missed. Like when I pulled up DC fandom, obviously like a
Okay.
wiki fandom wiki page, and I was reading something for issue 8, and they were like, yeah, old woman Ruthie hits Krem with her cane and then walks away, as he lays there alive. I was like, wait,
Nope.
I
Nope.
don't, I
Stabs
don't think so.
through with the sword, I believe, was the description we got.
Hmm.
Let me fact check that real quick.
Yeah, when I read that, I was like,
Uh, Instead, she moved her sword swiftly through the air and stabbed down through the chest of the kneeling brigand.
yeah,
After it was done, she returned the bloody blade to my hand. First of
yeah,
all, banger ending line.
yeah,
Second of all, I will say my understanding of the end of this book completely opposite from the first reading. I was fully convinced after the first read that Kara killed him.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
when we saw the movie, I was like, "Ah, yes, as she does in the comic." And then I revisited it and saw how the pronouns or like the description changes.
Mhm,
That
mhm.
very last panel, we flip from Ruthie's perspective to
To Kara.
Kara's, and I
Mhm.
went, "Oh shit."
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was it was funny because that's how I read it too. I'm like, "Wait, Ruthie killed them."
Mhm,
I'm like and then I sat with it for a minute because obviously, like, both Krems are horrible.
mhm.
Just,
Oh, yeah.
horrible people. Comic book Krem, like I mean, we see a lot more of his crimes, especially with the destruction of the purples on that planet. So,
Oh, yeah.
that puts a little more in context. We're seeing it, not you're not telling us, we're seeing it.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, it was easier for me, like, I think I wrote on my notes, I was like, "I read online that it seems like Crane is alive, like, her forgiveness was her hitting him." I was like, "Is
Mhm,
this a Killing Joke ending?" You know, where it's up to kinda interpretation over the years, and people, like, think Batman killed Joker in that scene, and some people don't, you know,
mm,
and obviously canon says he
mhm,
didn't, but so many people are like,
mhm.
I think he broke his neck,"
Right.
you know? Um, I was like and
Batman has, like, quote, unquote, "killed a lot of people" if we
oh,
took
yeah.
in real world physics.
Mhm.
Like, holy shit, man.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh.
Okay.
But,
Uh,
I said devil's
yeah.
advocate question was, the like, does Krem need to die in the comic at the
Yeah.
end?
Yes.
Yeah. I wrote that, like, a couple
Mhm,
hours ago. And I sat with it, I had dinner, and I was thinking about it the whole time, and I'm like you know, I was trying to think about it because they mentioned first 100 years, he was like,
mhm,
"This is a fraud, I shouldn't be in trouble, da, 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 da," he's going to
mhm,
everyone. Second 100 years in the Phantom Zone, he's like, he started reaching out, right? Or no, 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 he started, like, kinda coming to terms with what happened. Third
mhm,
like, the 3rd section of his 300 years, he's, like, really at peace and all this other stuff, so he begs for
mhm.
forgiveness from Ruthie, and she does not
Yeah.
allow him to do it, and it's like, yeah, man, that
You
feels
know,
right.
if we're putting on our morality hat, and analyzing it the way I think it's intended, I do think this is an analogy for death row and what that means. And we there's countless of stories and documentaries and films about people who are on death row for 20, 30 years and are completely different people than they were when they were
Yeah,
sentenced. And we can have a thoughtful, educational, like acknowledging the real harm of humans and everybody deserves existence in the real world. And then I can also throw all of my morals away and say that this is a comic book story and he genocided multiple planets and he needs to die.
yeah. No, I agree because it was so funny. We always come up with when we talk about Jason, your beloved,
Mhm, mhm.
and we talk about Joker and that
Yeah.
infamous, like,
Mhm.
scene that played
I
out in the
was gonna
comics.
quote it earlier.
It was
We're
like,
not talking about yeah, we're
you know,
just him.
just
Yeah.
him.
Mhm.
And it's funny because there was like, when I was playing devil's advocate while eating dinner and just thinking about it, I was like, "Oh,
Mhm.
like, does Clark know about this? Like her letting him out of the Phantom Zone and just allowing him to be dead,
Mhm.
killed? Like Clark
Mhm.
wouldn't be happy with this." And then I'm like, why are we thinking about that? She's not Clark.
Yeah. She's not Clark. We had a
Yeah,
great discussion about how she's not
yeah,
Clark on, DC Graduates
yeah.
last week, so
And
go check that out.
they don't go into detail with that same quote, but like it's
Mhm.
half of it's here is like be good,
Yeah.
and the film
Mhm.
is like be good. You don't have to be nice,
Yeah.
just be good. And
Typical.
that
Mhm.
Kara is good.
Yes, she
Yeah.
is. Alright, my real winner of the story is Crypto. He was doing just fine with the best veterinarian on Ruthie's home planet, and I love that for him.
He's chilling.
We love when the dog doesn't die.
Yeah. After a certain, I think it was like issue like 5. I'm like, where the
Mhm.
fuck is Crypto? Like they keep
Right,
saying
it's
months, like
been
that
months.
motherfucker's dead. Like
Yeah, he's doing just fine. He's
not
having a
to
great
dox
time.
myself. I work in an animal hospital during the day. Like
Uh-huh.
I know,
Yeah.
man. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Uh-huh.
he's dead.
Yep.
Red Sun, like he's dead. No, he's fine.
Mhm.
He's fine.
He's fine.
Like,
Final study question for you here. Would
mhm.
you revisit this story? in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. I think
Yeah.
it's
Same.
one that yeah, but you mentally prepare yourself for the dark stuff. But like I think it's
Hmm.
a very well done series. I think this is definitely on like if you got like a sliding scale or a tipping scale, like for Tom King, this is on the good side.
Hmm.
This is one that
Hmm.
you can
Yep.
I can highly
Hmm.
recommend. I have no issue recommending. Omega
Oh
Men's
yeah.
another one.
Oh, Mega
It's
Man,
yeah,
incredible. Both similar themes, grappling with some serious allegories for real world harms, and done in very
yeah,
well written ways.
yeah.
Can't say that about everything, but those two specifically of
Nope,
his,
nope,
A plus.
absolutely. Yeah, A plus. Yeah, I wholeheartedly can recommend this to anyone and
Hmm.
everyone at all. Actually, I lent my I don't have my physical copy here. I bought it because it was there for $5 on a
Hmm.
digital storefront, so I can just reread it. But I lent my physical copy to one of my best friends, Brianna. Oh, she pops up on
Hmm.
all our shows.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, dude, you gotta read this. Like, I know you haven't seen the film yet.
Oh yeah.
Like you had to see.
Hmm.
You gotta read this and then watch the film and just know they
Hmm.
are similar but different.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm so glad I revisited this. I feel like I got so much more out of it on a second read. I'm not a big rereader, so it
Mhm,
takes a lot for me to say yes wholeheartedly. I will revisit this, but I
mhm,
do want to revisit this in a couple years and see what more I can take away from it
mhm.
then. All right, Carlos, do you have any final burning thoughts you just need to express about this book?
Uh, no, 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 no,
Mhm.
no. Oh, you know what? Not a comment or anything, but I just wanted to shout out Future Car's
Mhm.
costume. Just dope.
Hell yeah.
Oh my god.
Yep.
It was the
Very
coolest
good
thing.
one.
The
Mhm,
pants, man. Pants just make a difference.
mhm.
It looks so cool. Her
We
regular
love
outfit
Pant.
was great, but like no midriff, just the big gold belt. Like I love that too, and like the skirt was cool and all, but like the pants look
Mhm,
cool, man. It looks so futuristic. Like it looks so cool. And the art that
mhm.
they like
Yeah.
how Bilky like drew the line work, especially in her future suit. I was like,
Mhm.
dude, what are we doing?
Very
We
good.
need put pants on these women.
Mhm. Yeah.
Pockets. Put pockets too. They need pockets.
Pants and pockets. You heard it here first. We're a big fan. Yeah, I will say I think it just kind of wrapping up my thoughts. I think this is one of the almost perfect stories. I think it's so well done. And one part that really stuck out to me on the second read through is that this could very easily kind of tip into that category of like some sort of trauma porn where we see a lot of trauma in a lot of
Mhm,
different planets. And one of the lines that really hit me was uh, Ruthie in her narration was talking about a moment and said, I won't tell it to you here. Some tales are too sad to tell,
mhm,
and that really struck me. Like we are seeing the worst of the worst of the universe in this book, but also, there are some stories that you can keep to protect your peace. You don't have to be exposed to every single trauma that comes across in the world. I think that's something we really have to grapple with in the digital age, especially as to people who were on the internet before we had such rigorous content guidelines.
mhm,
There's some real horrific things that you used to be constantly inundated with, and
mhm,
luckily, the filters on platforms have gotten significantly better. But because we are plugged in 24/7, we see the worst of humanity every single day. And on some tales you can't follow every single beat of, and
yeah,
sometimes you do need to step away, recharge before you can go back to really grappling with the
yeah.
horrors.
I
So
agree.
I thought that was a great message.
Was
Really ending on a bummer there, but this
yeah,
is such a fun book. If you have any burning thoughts and ideas and commentary on this discussion we've had, please share it in the comments. We'll be keeping an eye out for that.
mhm,
Let us know what your thoughts are on this book, answer those study questions if you want. I don't
Yeah,
know. But thank you so much for joining me, Carlos,
that
on
was fun.
this first ever episode. I had so much fun. Before we head off, your homework for next month, tentatively, I'm saying it on film. I guess we're cementing it right here. Voyagers by Meg Charlton. It's a sci-fi debut novel. So first time published novelist. And who are the guests for that episode? Big fat question mark. We'll find out together next month. Before we close out, Carlos, where can the people find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, you can find me here, youtube.com/point in progress. If you're watching the podcast, if you're listening to us, obviously, check us out on YouTube. If you're
It's going to be
watching
video open.
video only, all right,
Video
cool.
only episode. Yep.
Yeah, all right, cool. That makes this spiel easier, actually. Yeah, youtube.com/point in progress. We have all our stuff here. Check out DC Graduates, where me and Sly talk about how DC movies can be good as long as they're animated. Jokes on us. We're watching live action now too when it's James Gunn movies, at least in this universe.
Mhm.
But yeah, you can find us on there. You can check out MC University, which was DC Graduate's spiritual successor of that series, with
Mhm.
Sly and former host / co-founder Mario. I have a playthrough
Mhm.
series on here where it's called It's Not a Loop. I'm going through all the Remedy games for the first time, so Control should be coming out very soon. I'm filming those episodes. I'm like, I want to say halfway through the game right now, currently in my
Mhm.
filming. So
Nice.
I really enjoy my time. Spoilers for that. But get to see all the weirdness that is these Remedy games from Alan Wake to all the way to
Mhm.
Alan Wake 2. So you see the journey through all of them. Maybe one day down the line I'll play Max Payne 1 and 2, but not right now. We're just sticking all the weird shit right in the middle the most
Nice.
recent like 10, 15 years of weird shit that they've been doing. That's
Mhm.
all connected.
Mhm.
But yeah, you can find us there. And I've mentioned this before, patreon.com/point in progress, where we have, we'll start trying to put like more stuff on there. That's just free. That's just where we put our
Mhm.
musings and things like that. We'll post episodes and things like that.
Yep. You can find me on Storygraph at Slyclone if you want to see all my bookish musings. Also, please check out DC Graduates, especially, we're doing a bit of a 1-2 punch crossover this episode.
Yeah.
And give all the point in progress stuff some love. But for now, until next time, thank you so much for joining us, and progress has been made.